A secret police station here in New York run by the Chinese government.
An illegal biolab, reportedly backed by communist China, has been operating under the radar in Fresno.
Controversial plans to build a $2 billion Chinese-owned factory in Michigan will move forward.
Nothing about this suggests that it's foreign-owned. In fact, you can even see, look right there, it's an American flag that's flying.
Chinese conglomerate Fufeng is building a corn milling plant in Grand Forks, North Dakota, just 12 miles from an Air Force base, which houses some of our top intelligence and surveillance capabilities.
In a stunning, truly stunning coincidence, the plant just happens to be next to one of America's nuclear bomber bases. Originally, the City Council of Grand Forks approved the plan, but at last night's City Council meeting, residents showed up with American flags and publicly demanded the entire City Council resign. They ended up finally killing the project.
In Montana, fears about the security threat from China have been growing ever since that Chinese spy balloon soared across its famous big sky.
The Chinese spy balloon was right above us. That woke a lot of people up.
And it's not just worries about America's vulnerability from the air. Now, one of Montana's senators is pushing to keep the Chinese government from buying land nationwide.
China is not our friend right now, and the Chinese Communist Party wants to do bad things.
Senator John Tester is proposing a ban on entities with ties to China and 3 other foreign adversaries from buying American farmland and wants to beef up monitoring of land transactions to foreign buyers.
Right now, we're not paying any attention to it.
The push to prohibit foreign land purchases from China has exploded across America. 15 states have passed laws regulating the practice. Much of the focus coming after controversial purchases in Texas and North Dakota, where Chinese companies bought land and failed to disclose it to the U.S. government.
Just a couple of hours into our drive from Seattle, we start to see the markings of American pride, stars and stripes lining the highways of rural Washington state. This is part of the agricultural backbone that keeps us fed. But as we look closer here, we find what might be for America is, in some cases, not American.
We've seen a tremendous increase in the number of acres, for instance, being purchased by Chinese businesses. The increase in the investments has grown by a factor of 10 over the last decade.
We drive about an hour from Sunnyside to see how close the business ties to China are. You're about to see the sign. It's called Syngenta. This is a seed and pesticides manufacturer. It's one of the largest in the world. And let me show you something else as you look from the outside here.
Nothing about this suggests that it's foreign-owned. In fact, you can even see, look right there, it's an American flag that's flying.
Syngenta is headquartered in Switzerland, but owned by ChemChina, which is 100% Chinese state-controlled and designated last year by the Defense Department as a military company. Its CEO, a former government official and member of the Chinese Communist Party. Syngenta is operating here legally, and neither it nor its parent company have been accused of wrongdoing. In a statement to CNN, they stress that Syngenta has approximately 4,400 U.S. employees in 43 states, and all its activities are conducted on fields and farms in the U.S. to benefit American farmers.
Sure.
Newhouse is sponsoring a House bill that would heavily vet and restrict future investment from Chinese entities. A similar effort passed the Senate in July, and more than 24 states have either passed or proposed their own restrictions on foreign ownership of land.
I mean, this is incredible. So that you're driving by, Syngenta is one of the most important seed chemical companies
massive,
in the world.
Yeah.
And never mind that it's Swiss headquartered, right? You showed those flags, the American flag, and Syngenta, you wouldn't even know it was Swiss headquartered,
right?
But 100% owned by a Chinese state-owned company that's designated by the United States as a military company, and that's just fine.
Investigators discovering a horrific scene in suburban California. An illegal biolab, reportedly backed by communist China, has been operating under the radar in Fresno. Authorities say the warehouse was packed with hundreds of mice in inhumane conditions, medical waste, and at least 20 infectious agents.
This one is tough to believe. An investigation tonight into a possible illegal medical lab. It was operating out of an abandoned warehouse in Reedley. Inside, mice bioengineered to incubate the COVID-19 virus. The lab was discovered near I and 9th Streets. 30 refrigerators and freezers, some broken, were found filled with bodily fluids. Health officials tell us they are shocked at the biological house of horror.
It was back in April inside this abandoned warehouse in Reedley that a discovery so shocking was made that it left local health officials stunned.
This is a truly unusual situation. I've been in government for 25 years. I've never seen anything like this.
I've never have seen this in my 26-year career with the county of Fresno.
What was supposed to be an empty building used only for storage was home to an unauthorized lab testing facility, something no one had even conceived of.
We reach out to our local public health directors throughout the state, California, and nobody has really expressed this type of interaction with a unlicensed lab. So it is something new.
The discovery was made after a local code enforcement officer noticed this garden hose poking out a back wall of the building.
Frankly, we knew that shouldn't be there. And when she went to go investigate, she found that there was activity or operation or something happening within that building.
The city then obtained several search warrants to enter the building. Once inside, no staff was located, but
there was a special room that was built housing about 1,000 mice, 1,000 white lab mice.
And the reason the mice were in the lab was jaw-dropping.
Through their statements, that they were doing some testing on laboratory mice there that would help them support developing the COVID test kits that they had on site.
Documents show the lab was also being used to produce pregnancy tests. 200 of the nearly 1,000 mice were already dead. According to court documents, all the rodents were being caged in, quote, inhumane conditions. Also found thousands of vials, many of which contain biohazards, materials including human blood, unidentified tissue, and other unknown substances.
Only bipartisan issue really on Capitol Hill right now is confronting China, and not just about spy balloons. Their intelligence services routinely hack into American defense contractors to steal details of secret weapon systems. Their spies pose as students in order to infiltrate America's top research universities to steal biomedical and bioweapons research. They try to compromise Americans using honey traps, like the scandal involving Congressman Eric Swalwell and his relationship with a Chinese spy known as Fang Fang. He denies any wrongdoing. The latest fight is in, of all places, Grand Forks, North Dakota, where a Chinese company wants to build a massive corn processing plant. In a stunning, truly stunning coincidence, the plant just happens to be next to one of America's nuclear bomber bases. Originally, the city council of Grand Forks approved the plan, but at last night's city council meeting, residents showed up with American flags and publicly demanded the entire city council resign. They ended up finally killing the project. Brian Enton's there and joins us now from Grand Forks. It's stunning, really, Brian, that it took the citizens, not the Pentagon, not the White House, not some big group in Congress, to finally kibosh this.
Yeah, this is one of those stories, Leland, like you just couldn't believe it. We had to come out here to see it for ourselves. This is Grand Forks Air Force Base behind me. All sorts of top secret stuff happens here where they build drones and all sorts of other things that they don't want anyone to know about. Well, Fufeng is this Chinese-owned company. They suddenly gobble up more than 300 acres of land just 12 miles from here with a straight shot to the Air Force Base, and they want to build this corn mill there. Everyone who lives in this area, for the most part, is like, this just doesn't feel right. And they've been fighting and fighting and fighting for the last year. And the city council would not back down. They wanted the money that it was going to bring in and the jobs, they said. Well, finally, the Air Force put out this letter last week saying this is a threat to the country. This is a threat. That caused the council to finally back down. But there was this council meeting last night, and it got very, very fiery. Take a listen.
You sold us out to China.
How can you defend yourself against a foreign enemy against the United States? You have not only embarrassed yourself, but the people of this community. You should hold your head in utter shame.
What's going on in Grand Forks? How can they not see that this is a Chinese company that's connected to the CCP?
A company that has been deemed a national security threat now owns approximately 360 acres in our town because of a transaction that you promoted.
And you heard that one resident say it right there. This company has now been deemed a national security threat by the Air Force. The corn mill won't be happening, but the Chinese company, still owns the 300 plus acres of land out here, Leland.
The FBI accusing the Chinese government of secretly operating a police station out of this unassuming building in the heart of New York City, the first ever case of its kind. The FBI arresting these two men in New York City today, Lu Jiang Wang and Chen Jingping, accusing them of working under the direction of China's Ministry of Public Security. Their office near Chinatown claimed to be a non-profit organization providing assistance to local residents of Chinese descent, including to help them get driver's licenses. But the FBI says the station was a hub of Chinese counterintelligence operations in New York City, used to harass and intimidate dissidents who dared to defy China.
The secret police station appears to have had a more sinister use.
Officials say Lu allegedly tracked down and terrorized a pro-democracy activist living in California. In one stunning case, sources telling ABC News China is accused of having a secret operative inside the Zoom company and of hacking Zoom sessions.